Hello you wonderful people, it's me again in the car doing the old transit vlog. Well then, so from yesterday I've made some progress, not as much as I would have liked because I did spend a little bit of time yesterday evening doing more hobby related stuff than this side of the hobby related stuff. Hopefully by the time I get home the electrician will have been, put the other light up, and that is a positive thing. There should then be some additional shiny bright light in my home studio slash painting area, and I will be particularly happy about that because it was getting a little bit dull. My eyes are starting to hurt, and having the obscenely bright studio lights on all the time in my face was giving me a little bit of a headache, so that'll be a nice quality of life improvement there. So back to this conversation about automation and the various bits of hardware that I'm trying to interface together to make my life better and easier. Well, I have something of an update on that, not as much as I wanted to have, but certainly something to talk about. So discounting the streaming situation and the flight of fancy that I went on yesterday about having servos move the cameras, it looks like I can, without too much effort, do what I wanted to do in terms of changing the lighting setups across all of the Bluetooth devices. I found a pre-built module that I can, it's basically a bit of JavaScript and a Bluetooth dongle, and I can control one from the other by just passing parameters from a button press to an IRC when I use either the Loop Deck or the Stream Deck, and it will work across both of those things. Excuse me. I gave it a very quick go last night and it worked for one of them, for one of the lights. Now that is the only one that I added. The downside to it is, even it's a very nice little bit of code that somebody's put together, and it's wonderful. It's just a bit of a mess about and faff to add individual device IDs in a configuration file rather than you just being able to auto detect it and it add them. So setting it up in the first instance is a little bit laborious, but unless I change lights or add new lights, it's actually quite straightforward. And it is going to be in situ. I'm not going to be moving it around. It's going to be inside of my studio space. So with that in mind, it's actually not that bad at all. So yeah, that's a huge positive, and I'm going to take that as a quick win. So great stuff. I'll probably show that over the next week or so. Other than that, other bits of quality of life improvements I've started to make. So there's a little bit of work stuff that overlaps into hobby stuff and vice versa. As you might have noticed, this kind of like, it's a little bit of a two-way relationship between work and play, one feeding very much into the other. So I'm making significant use of OneNote these days, and SharePoint, and regardless of how I might have previously felt, there is actually some really good technology in both of those things, and being able to have a single data source and to do things automatically based off of things' statuses. So all of the scripts and stuff for my videos I've now started to write in OneNote, and being able to then move things through the production workflow via SharePoint. Excuse me, my throat's going. And automations there is really, really good. It makes such a difference at work, and a lot of that then I'm starting to kind of like pull out and use on my personal stuff as well. So that's another positive. It looks a little bit boring from the outside. It's not very sexy, as it were, but this is all kind of stuff that is really good, really useful. It's new to me, and I'm learning an incredible amount at the moment. And interestingly, I think I've mentioned this in an older video a while back. I honestly, in my old role, I hardly ever got to write any code. It wasn't what I was doing, even though that was my title. I'm writing way more code now and tying things together and being excited about that, as well as the creative side of it, being able to like creatively write utilities, little bits of glue to pull things together to do stuff, is not only really refreshing for me after a number of years being quite frustrated by my position, but it reminds me why I got into that career in the first instance. And I know I've made that career pivot, so I suppose moving on a little bit from what I was talking about in the automation, one of the things that I've forgot to be excited about over the past few weeks, and think how lucky I've been to be able to make a jump from one thing that I loved to another thing that I love, and both of those feed back into each other, so is really good. I suppose not many people get the opportunity to do something like that. What a lot of people end up doing for work is out of necessity to have money, where yes, of course, I 100% need money, I don't have enough of it at all, but being able to generate a good living off of something that I genuinely do enjoy doing still, and then rediscovering my passion for the thing that got me to where I am today, as a professional, as an individual, is again really good. So I feel fortunate for that. I won't say lucky, but luck is not something that I believe in. You know, you get out what you put in, and I have made that pivot consciously, and I feel happy about that. And perhaps with my recent melancholic downtones of everything else, I forgot to remember all of the good things that I have going on, despite all of the hard stuff that's going on in the background. I've still got this, and I think it's having this opportunity not only to get better at talking to the camera, but to also to like have that self-reflection space to be able to talk about that. One of the things that I do still miss, and I get to some extent, don't get me wrong, I do have I want to say colleagues, but yes, I've got colleagues in the new position, but I have work friends that I do get to talk to on a regular basis, majority in work, about stuff that excites us all, and we bounce off of each other really well when we're talking about those things, and that's great that I can still have that. And perhaps I need to be more involved in that and less involved in the everything's like bad, and look at more of the positives than the negatives, even though sometimes, a lot of the time, in fact, the negatives do outweigh the positives. But I don't know how that averages out over somebody's career. We'll see, I guess, because that'll be something that I guess I can reflect upon in my memoirs, should they ever exist, and I'm sure they will, because that's a massive ego trip, isn't it? Well, that's it for today. I'm not going to go too I can't even speak anymore. I'm not going to go on too long because I'm stuck in traffic, and I could talk for the next 15-20 minutes at least about stuff, but I'm going to keep it concise. I'm going to work from home tomorrow. I've got the entire day free of meetings, so I can smash out some of the things that I need to get finished off, and then yeah, that's a positive one. Hopefully it'll be a nice quiet day, nobody around, and I can just focus and have a day of just like enjoying some work. Wondrous. Right, I will see you all tomorrow. My watch has stopped working, so I can't do it from there, and I will see you all then. Be nice, be happy, don't kill anybody, and if you do, don't get caught. Quick lime's a good thing. Plastic baths, just saying.